I don't want to think. You know, I never played ball sports. I was never coordinated. But you tell me go pick up that heavy ass bar, I'm going to do that.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the show. We got a banger of an episode, but before we give you that shit, like, subscribe, give us a 5-star review. Please do that thing. Takes you like 3 seconds, sends the show out there to other people just like you, helps to support this thing. Thank you. All right, so I had a chat with a bloke at the gym.
Yes.
And his question was, we're talking a bit of strength conditioning stuff after training, and he's in good shape, this fella. And he's like, do you like club training? And I was like, what do you mean?
In the club?
Yeah. And he's like, like Indian clubs. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I like clubs, right? Like, we've both had a bit of experience with the Persian clubs.
Persian meals.
The meal. And I own a couple. And I said, yeah, man, I really like those as a tool. And I use them. They sit in my garage and I probably use them like, I don't know, once a month or something. Yeah. You know, it's not part of my regular training rotation, but it's like, oh, I'm down here restoring an old Stanley No. 5 hand plane. Let's get a set of clubs in at the same time,
Why
right?
not?
And in any case, he's like, oh, like, I love that shit. Like just the rotation on the shoulder, like it feels so good. And he was like, I really like stuff where there's a lot of movement involved.
Sure.
He goes, that's why I like clubs, I like kettlebells, maces, etc. But I don't like dumbbells, I don't like barbells, I don't like just that like, kind of lifting. And I was like, fair, you like what you like. But it got me thinking about this kind of sort of two different camps of training.
Yeah.
And we obviously like a bit of like basic strength work, right?
Of course.
You more so than myself, right? Love a heavy barbell.
I'm a fan of anything strength related.
Yeah. And so I was talking to this bloke and I'm like, yeah, like I really like that stuff, but that stuff doesn't get you big and strong.
True.
And I'm like, I also like the heavy stuff. And I'm like, I feel like there's a really nice balance when you can do a bit of both.
Yes.
But I think we see in the training realm that people kind of often bias towards one side.
Yes.
So you get these cats that are just like, it's all about squat, bench, dead. That's all you need. Max strength, get big and strong, and you'll be good at any sport.
Yeah.
And then you got people that are like, no, that's going to make you tight and uncoordinated. I like to swing this kettlebell in a 3-dimensional, like every repetition is already hitting all 3 planes of movement. And you're like, man, you can really move. Like that's some high skill shit, but where's the muscle at?
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Show me the muscle, Joey.
Yeah. And so, so I reflect on all of this a lot. I also reflect on, say, for those that are on Instagram and following some of the sort of, there's like a zeitgeist at any one particular time of what the kind of discussions are around in strength for jiu-jitsu world.
Yep.
And a lot of it does rotate around like just do big, strong, heavy lifts. Don't bother with like low kind of stimulus, highly complicated movements that don't build strong muscles.
Sure.
And I'm like, I agree with that sentiment, but I also think it's good to do a bit of that stuff because it is very skill-based.
Sure.
And it does challenge the body in different ways, right?
Yeah.
So while you can't measure the results of the 3-dimensional double kettlebell juggle swing, whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like, did the deadlift get heavier or not? That I can measure.
Sure.
I don't think, it's not my view that you would throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
So anyway, where this comes to is like, well, what's good for folks? And I just can't help but think like, you got to have that base of basic strength work. You got to do those basic lifts to a point.
Yeah.
You got to squat to some degree. You got to deadlift to some degree.
Sure.
You can sprinkle in more skill, make it a single leg or, whatever, like make it a split stance or something. But it's kind of consistently you want to have those compound basic lifts in your sort of training diet. But then you can sprinkle in a little bit of that shit because that shit's going to challenge you in different ways and that does pay dividends.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is a many layered thing that you were discussing here. So for me, in terms of just how I understand it or approach it, is just some people are drawn to things that are more skillful. Like people like the mastery element. They like to be like, yo, I can juggle a kettlebell. Because you're like, I can't even juggle a tennis ball. How the hell are you going to flip a 16-kilo kettlebell? Like, that's impressive. And it does require certain strength demands to be able to do that stuff. But yeah, it's not going to be the same as a heavy ass deadlift. But that said, there's also a group of people who are like, I don't want to think. I don't want to, I never played ball sports. I was never coordinated. But you tell me go pick up that heavy ass bar, I'm going to do that. I'm going to slap myself in the face. I'm going to make it happen. And some people really love that. And I think speaking to like that kind of first point you made, that possibly those people who are just always just flipping and dipping and just fucking whoop whoop and a little bit of fucking spring roll here and a little bit of shit, you're like, nah, man, that's actually not your highest point of leverage. You need to just go and get strong through a more basic level of coordination. And yeah, go do that stuff. But maybe we're hiding behind what we enjoy for what we need.
Like we have our bias.
Yeah, or like, we were kind of prior to this discussion, we were talking about calisthenics guys. It's not, and I mean, obviously there's plenty of calisthenics guys who are super jacked, but they always wear long pants. You never see,
because it's cold out here in the sun.
Oh, of course. You never seen the bar stars guys wearing shorts,
big baggy jeans.
Always, right? But then it's like you always see those behemoth powerlifters in bike pants or like a onesie, like a squatting onesie or something. Like a just massive quads.
Yeah.
Massive.
Well, they're often wearing a big baggy t-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Got to hide the gut a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so here's the thing. We know that if people who are more inclined in the more basic lifts and were really strong in that way did more dynamic, varied, skilled moves, they'd be better off. In the same way, if you're one of those people who does a lot of high-skilled stuff, but it neglects the heavier, more basic stuff, you'd be better off there too.
Yeah.
It's just, I guess the hardest thing is I don't want to discourage anyone from doing anything. If you've never lifted and you want to learn kettlebells, great, you're going to learn some cool shit there. And if you've never picked up weight before, but your friend trains clubs and loves Scott Sonnen and starts teaching you that, that's great. But that doesn't mean that's going to lead to your ultimate athletic advancement.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Parry Athletics, the exclusive apparel sponsor of the Bulletproof for BJJ podcast. We've been working with these guys for quite some time now. We absolutely love the company. We love their gear, both for training and also just looking slick off the mats. They got excellent no-gi wears, shorts, t-shirts, all that cool stuff. If you want to get yourself into some Parry clothes or you want to rock the Bulletproof for BJJ exclusive merch, you got to go through Parry, go to parryathletics.com and use the code Bulletproof20 to get 20% off your order. They ship internationally.
Yeah, and I definitely think there's like there's a bit of a mystique in that, like in fitness, that world of like multi-movement plane stuff is often referred to as like functional fitness because it kind of...
Functional.
Yeah, it was sort of like
it
was like the pendulum swinging back in the late 90s from the world of bodybuilding, which was just completely no skill and just isolated. Yeah, often machine, all about, breaking down muscle to grow muscle. Whereas you had these people like, no, man, you got to move the body through, through different planes of motion. And like, that's absolutely true. Like you totally have to. Keeping in mind that the gym environment for these people was their only form of athletic expression. They weren't training jiu-jitsu or a sport.
Doing a sport outside of that.
Yeah, and a sport does a lot of that for you. But so the functional fitness, the pendulum swung back, and so those people sort of like dug their heels in, and it's like, no, man, it's got to be multi-planar. Those guys suck. Look at them, they're inflexible and whatever. Yeah. Do you know, you familiar with functional patterns?
Oh, yeah.
Nadi Aguilar?
Oh, yeah. The least athletic functional guy I ever seen.
So this guy makes himself an easy target. He spurts so much hate, and I would say he really leans into the controversy side of marketing, like the polarizing side of marketing. So he often just puts shit out there that I would say is often misinformation. Like saying like deadlift is the you should never deadlift, it's terrible for your body, etc. It's like, no, man, deadlifts are great. Like, yeah, you can't say that. But
Joe, he can.
But did you ever see the video he did with Kyle Dake?
I did, yeah.
It's a sick video, right?
And he also trained with Jordan Burroughs, I think.
Okay, makes
He kind of
sense.
got his hooks in with some of the wrestlers.
Yeah, and so Carl Dake, right, like one of the greatest wrestlers
of all time.
Yeah, in America, and absolute specimen. And they've done this sick video, and it's like Carl Dake's like training, like he's got all these different implements, like big stick, throwing and rotate, and you're like, holy shit, this is the master key to like it makes it. Even me, knowing what I know, you watch that and you're like,
Oh God!
God damn, could there be some validity to this?
No.
Right? But if I'm asking that, imagine what someone who's like, 6 months into the strength game and they're watching and they're like, this is where it's at.
I wish I had an extra pair of hands so I could give those titties 4 thumbs down. Off. If you gave me Michael Jordan in 1993 and you look at his workouts and he's there with his trainer, like his trainer's like also coach of Kobe Bryant and shit. He's doing like preacher bicep curls and shit before going out to then annihilate whoever in the finals, right? Jordan used to lift weights in the morning before going, to play championship games. It wouldn't matter what the you got Michael Jordan to do. He still would have been Michael Jordan. You're talking about Kyle Dake. He's been wrestling. He could shoot a double before he could walk. Like he was wearing headgear. There's photos of him when he's, I think, 3 on the edge, like little wrestling boots, like in a little, like on the side of the wrestling mat. When he's 3, he's Kyle Dake. You could get him to do Pilates. He's still going to fuck you up. You know what I mean?
Look, I know, and I totally
Genius
get your point,
marketing
right? Genius marketing, right? And it just, it does, I think it does kind of like that highly movement-based functional side of things. It really does influence a lot of people to go like, oh my God, like this is where it's at.
Dude, I thought motherfucker was going to get garroted. I saw him doing some weird, not the Kyle Dake video, but another high-level athlete with cables.
The cable, he's got that big stick, like a staff with cables.
He's spinning and he's like, spin back, like, it's like, motherfucker's going to get garroted. This is going to be a scene out of the Godfather. Like, settle down, sonny. Bro, I was like, I don't care how many spins, whips, and dips you do. That cable tension is not staying constant there. Whatever you think is happening, you're fucking kidding yourself. So let's rewind. That guy is very good with marketing, sure. And there is something to be said for getting people who don't move much to move more. But if you've got someone who's a trained gymnast, athlete extraordinaire, and one of the strongest pound for pound humans there is, who trains to throw humans around, you're just sprinkling you're just sprinkling sugar on top. Like the masterpiece is made. Like that is not what made the masterpiece. And I think that's where it's difficult to know, because most of us, we only see those mad highlights and we're like, well, that's the truth. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's got the sick music, the nice camera, shit, and suck me in. I'll be like, damn, Carl Dake, let me buy that program.
I've had that situation a couple of times recently where I've come to training with some water, but I haven't had any electrolytes, and I've finished training and I've had to go to a convenience shop and buy myself some kind of sports drink, usually a Gatorade. Cost me like $7. It's small and it really doesn't contain that much of the good stuff that I'm looking for, which are the electrolytes. Sodi, on the other hand, is my partner when it comes to hydration, and I'd simply just run out of it. And it sucks because I got to go buy expensive stuff that doesn't do anywhere near as good a job. I'm super stoked that we've been restocked with the Sodi, and now I can be properly hydrated when I train jiu-jitsu. This has always been an underexplored aspect of my training, and I'm so stoked that we now have these guys in place to support us and also the listeners of the show. So if you want to be hydrated on the mats so that you can perform at your best and have the best mental clarity while training, get yourself some Sodi. Go to sodi.com.au. That's SODII.com.au. Get yourself some delicious hydration salts and use the code bulletproof15 for 15% off. Go to sodi.com.au. Get yourself hydrated.
There's a great quote that I always come back to from Ido Portal, who is the movement guy, but it is the hips crave intensity, the shoulders crave complexity. And it's like, to me still, as a kind of guiding sort of principle on strength training, it rings true. I'm like, yeah, heavy shit for the hips. And then, Yeah, heavy shit for the shoulders too, but also variety and complexity for the shoulders. Yeah, like, and whatever. Like, maybe it is some of that rotational shit. I personally love the Persian meal precisely for that. You know, like they have a really nice range of motion and it's loading the shoulder in a way that you can't do with other things. Gymnastic rings, as we've spoken about, incredible tool for that. I think that like say you take that classic powerlifter strongman kind of vibe where it's like basic lifts all over. Not strongman actually, because they have some very complicated lifts, but say powerlifting, right?
Sure.
And say it's the powerlifter that's like, I do squat and deadlift, and I do bench and I do overhead press and pull-ups.
Yeah.
You're like, that's still, there's not much going on for the upper body, right? Like it's a very basic approach. That basic approach is great for the lower body.
Yeah.
But I want to see some more range of motion shit for the shoulders.
Yeah.
So it's the balance piece.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one of the biggest things I've taken away from strongman is carries. And I got this in kettlebell training too. Like my old kettlebell coach, he would make us finish almost every workout with varieties of carry. And I never really appreciated what that does for you to not just stand on the spot. You know, it doesn't matter. You know when you see lots of wrestlers with bits of rubberized elastic, like
Oh, yeah.
just
Yeah.
solo drilling with bands, you know? And it's like, yeah, I question that shit. I know it's there. You see guys just non-stop. Like, yeah, sure, do that. All right, now...
Great conditioning work for them.
Allegedly, I think when you look at what is amazing about strongman is not only are these some big-ass humans, they have to actually pick something up and move it, or they've got to throw it, or they've got to...
Yeah, there's a lot of movement involved.
Climb stairs. Yeah, it's not static. And if we look at life is not static. And so even though with the great thing about kettlebells and club bells is you can do it technically on the spot, which can be great if you've got bad knees or whatever it might be, life requires movement. Life is action, change is action. So involving some carries into what you do is an amazing way to really like stress test your body for life, because there will be a time when you might just want to carry all the grocery bags from the car because you're not a motherfucker who does 2 trips. You do 1 trip and you get to the front of the house and you realize your keys are in your back pocket, but you can't put the bag down.
Sucks. I do that every morning when I leave my house. Oh, shit, I got to lock the door.
If I put them down, do I fail?
So let me give you one actionable takeaway, listener.
Please.
Is to perhaps look at what your bias may be in this realm. Go, oh, yeah, I really love kettlebells and that funny band thing and body blades and shit. You're like, okay, maybe I'll start doing some heavy strength work. Just do it for like 3 to 6 months, once or twice a week, see how that works for you.
Even just a month.
And if you're the kind of person that's like, man, I'm just heavy squat bench dead all the time, maybe add in some complexity, add in some body weight training, do some shit on the rings, some calisthenics, whatever, but piece that up for 3 to 6 months and see how that works for your athleticism.
Yeah, definitely. And just appreciate that, you know, throughout the year, having like higher intensity moments, lower intensity moments, breaking this up, it does give your body a little bit more spice, a little bit more variety, which helps you kind of protect you from just doing the same old thing, which can ultimately over time build injury.
Boom, boom.
Yes, there it is, folks. Peace.